Senator Ireti has called on Nigerian youths to stop complaining and take active actions in reclaiming their country from politicians who have done enough to improve, or who haven't actually done enough to improve the situation. Let's take a listen to what she said.
Nigerian youths, they are complacent, they are quiet, all they do is grumble. We need to have constructive interaction. Do you understand? All I hear is grumblings and insults. That's not helpful. Do you understand? You guys, the country belongs to the youth. They should own it. Instead of a proper, program or agenda, they will threaten a strike that, of course, everybody knows they're not going to go on. How does that achieve anything? But as he said, Nigeria is a mayday, mayday. I agree. Advice is to Nigerian youth. My advice to Nigerian people. This is your country. Own it. You have another country. I don't have another country. So we have to make it work. We have to do whatever is necessary to reclaim our country, whatever is necessary to make sure that this country works for everybody.
And of course, there you have it. You just had there Senator Ireti actually did talk about Nigerian youth owning, governance and taking charge and not just complaining. Well, joining this conversation right now is the the state chairman for the AAC. That's Oyo State, Comrade Kayode Babayomi joins me virtually. Thank you for your time, comrade.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adapo, and thanks for having me.
All right. I believe you listened to that soundbite by Senator Ireti where she said that Nigerian youths, just complain. But before I get your take, I also understand that we now have Victor J, who is joining this conversation. Victor, it's great to have you too.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Victor J is actually the lead activist, Young Nigerian Rights Organization. Let me start with you, comrade. She said Nigerian youths, all she hears more often than not is complaints and insults, not really more of constructive criticism. What's your take as a young person?
Thank you very much, Mr. Adapo, once again. Let me just say that it is just a mere gaslighting from Ireti, saying that all what Nigerian youths do most is just to complain and to grumble on the state of things. It is sad that such is coming from her, and I can tell you it is just a mere psychology. Trying to protect themselves as if they are not part of the system, or they are not part of the same establishments that Nigerian youths are fighting for. Ask this same Ireti that I can tell you that the only thing that Nigerian youth have not done is to start stoning all these people we are talking about. That's the only thing Nigerian youth have not done. And I'm telling you, we are getting sooner. We are getting to that junction. I can assure you that. This same Ireti, when she's complaining about maybe Nigerian only grumble, maybe Nigerian are only silent, or Nigerian are comfortable with the state of things. Where was she when the Nigerian youth came out for end-back governance, and Nigerian youth in Abuja were tear-gas, Nigerian youth were tear-gas in Lagos and across the state in Nigeria? This same youth, some months ago, April 7th, we came out to repeal the Cybercrime Act, which happens to be one of the two that the present government, the present evil regime of Bola Ahmed Tinubu are using in capturing the voices of the Nigerian people. We came out to repeal this act. Where was she? What's her stance on this same Cybercrime Act? What was her own stance on the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers? It is still the same youth that came out, yes, to say, no, this is illegal and Nigerian will not take it. But this same Ireti that we're talking about, I'm confidently sure if a protest should happen in Wike's office tomorrow, what Ireti will do is just to fold our hands. It should go, it is just so sad that whenever they find themselves in this kind of mess, they look for youth, the youth for Nigerian people to clean up their mess for them.
All right.
It should solve whatever differences, she has with Wike, not using, the Nigerian youth to play the card. Of which tomorrow she and Wike might become friends again. So we are not in that game with them. Nigerian youth are focused. I can tell you what we need. What left for us is just to buckle up and face these people one-on-one and see how it goes. But saying that Nigerian people are wholly cooperate, Nigerian people engaged in a 30 days challenge. What was her stance on it? As we are speaking, she was talking, I listened to the video very well. She was talking about when youth are complaining about no job, that why can't they go farming? Is the farming even for the farmers now? As we speak in those states, farmers are protesting. In Benue State, as we speak, farmers no longer go to their farms to farm again.
Kayode, you might just need to hold on for a moment. I know you have a lot to say as a young person, but let's listen to Victor quickly. Let's bring Victor into the conversation. Quickly, your reaction to some of the things Senator Ireti has said before we go on our first break.
We should ask ourselves, who is to blame for the failure of the Nigerian youth? It is the government. The government has a duty of care for welfare and security. The government has the National Orientation Agency at the federal level. At the state level, there is brief for orientation. But are you aware that these agencies are underfunded? Annually, we usually have annual budgets to give orientation to the Nigerian people, to educate and enlighten the Nigerian people on how they should go about issues, or how to present issues, or how to go about protests, or how to go about arguments. But these agencies are not well funded. Go and check the budget. And even if they are funded, you find out that there's corruption, there's corrupt practices. You find out that the persons that are supposed to be accountable for making use of this money for the interest of the youth, you find out that there's corruption, there is misappropriation of funds. So you find out that the government has failed the youth with respect to giving orientation to the youth. They are, for instance, this program, Big Brother Nigeria, is a bad influence. What has the government done about it? Nothing. In China, you need to see China TikTok, and you see the content creation there. You see them going into production. Things that are productive. But here in Nigeria, it is the opposite.
Even though we understand that the government has a role in orientation, but part of what she said is taking ownership, of your country, because it's the only country you have. It's your home. But I'll come back to you, Victor J. I know you want to speak, Kayode. I'll still come back to you too, your response, but we need to go on a break. When we return, I'll be bringing into the studio Comrade Chinedu Bosa, is the National Publicity Secretary of the Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights, to join this conversation. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and of course we are discussing Nigerian youth and political engagement. I still have my guests with me. I still have, of course, Ayo Yinka Oni. That's Babayomi, sorry, is of course the chairman of the Labour of the AAC or your state. He joins virtually, and also Comrade Chinedu Bosa, who joins me in the studio, the National Publicity Secretary of the Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Let me come to you, Comrade Chinedu. Now, Senator Kingibe Ireti has said that Nigerian youths, are not engaging in constructive criticism, and that more of the time it seems to be more of noise than actual, concrete action. Do you think that is the case?
No, I don't think that is correct. From all ramifications, that is not correct. The Nigerian youth have engaged enough. She also said that the youth are not putting enough pressure on the leadership, which is also not correct. Nigerian youth have been putting pressure on leadership since the 1960s. I mean, just of the recent time, we had a mass protest which was called the NSAS 2020. We had last year End Bad Governance protest. That was enough pressure. We saw how.
Is it, just quickly, is it all about protest or coming to the round table with the government to suggest practicable solutions? So she gave an illustration of saying, for instance, solving unemployment. A way out could be, you know what, put pressure on the government to say, give us certain hectares of land, allocate it to some young persons so that they may go into agriculture.
Well, that in itself is one-sided. Don't forget, agriculture also is linked to other sectors of the economy. Don't forget, you can't talk about agriculture without talking about rural development. You can't talk about agriculture without talking about electrification of the rural areas, the roads. You can't talk about agriculture in isolation. So it's not just about giving land to the people and say, go and farm. What is the storage, capacity of Nigeria? What are the road infrastructure? What is the irrigation, water? All these things are in the mess. So for you just to say, simplify it and say, give them land and let them start going, to start working. It appears this leadership quite frankly, is gross irresponsibility as far as I'm concerned on the part of the leadership. Because when they were contesting these elections, don't forget, they told us they were going to solve problems. Nigeria was in a mess. Election in, election out. Nigeria has always been in a mess. It keeps consolidating. Now, if you know you are going there to get solutions, you understand, what solutions have they preferred in the last, let's say in the last 15, 20 years? Which solutions? Have they resolved? Tell me one thing the Nigerian leadership has resolved. Tell me. Just a report came out today. UNICEF said Nigeria is now home to the largest number of malnourished children in Africa, second in the world. Is that not enough pressure? What is malnourishment? It's linked to food. It's linked to agriculture. It's linked to development. So I think we have had enough pressure, and we saw it in the period when the young people, after speaking, after writing, after engaging, and the leadership was not listening, they had to troop to the streets to peacefully protest. And we saw how they were clamped down upon. We saw how they were attacked. King Ibe is not in this space now. He was in this country when all these things were happening. So understand, if the high unemployment is not putting pressure on King Ibe, President Bola Tinubu, is not putting pressure on Wike, is not putting pressure on Sanwo-Olu, and the rest of the leadership in this country, I don't think any other thing will put pressure on them.
All right, let me bring, talking about pressure, let's switch this conversation right now to something that, started trending. Today, it started over, the weekend, but today hit some sort of, what I call it, a bit of high. And that is, we saw a lot of young people troop to the streets. Even though this might be a bit of digression from, but it's still within the same mix. Yeah. We saw some young people troop to the streets today saying that a certain activist, very dark man, should be released from, incarceration wherever he is. Some have said, that's some sort of pressure, the right thing to do. We must kick against injustice. While some have even faulted the process, saying, should it be a certain location and, different from another location? Let me start with you, Babarami, quickly, in less than 30 seconds. What do you make of this protest we are seeing as regards VDN?
When we're talking about pressure, Nigerian youth has continuously, to mount pressure on the leadership of this country. One of our major problems in Nigeria is leadership. And I can tell you, if you can get the leadership aspect right, Nigeria will be better. What we are experiencing today concerning very dark man, it is what is expected from the Nigerian youth. And it is what we always want, to happen. When the Nigerian youth come out to stage a mass protest on a certain issue that they are not comfortable with, in the case study of very dark man, and a lot of issues like that. Not only very dark man issues alone. I'm very sure I'm sure that one of the charges they will charge very dark man was cyber act, of which Nigerian youths over a month now, we came out to protest against this cybercrime act as well. So what do they want Nigerian youth to do? And when you're talking about Nigerian youth to take over, it is this same set of people that will tell Nigerian youth that you can't fight the system outside, that you have to join the force, and ask them, those that have been them so far, how have they been able to help the system? What they do is to kill, first thing they do is to kill your conscience. And once they kill your conscience, they burn your conscience, automatically you are part of them. You'll be incapacitated to do anything again. And this same set of people in power are part of the establishment that brought all these issues up. And in fact, they are one of those people, they are one of those people that the current system are using to ensure that the voices of the Nigerian youth are silenced.
All right.
During NPAC governance, we knew numbers of protesters that were arrested, and how each of them were being released. This same Ireti, what was our position? And that's why I said the only thing that Nigerian youth have not done is to come out on the street and start stoning them. And I'm telling you, I'm assuring you that we are getting to that jungle now, where Nigerian youth will pick stones on the street and start chasing them, stoning them one after the other.
All right,
taking a look at the system of it, taking a look at what we are experiencing now today, as a youth, what have the government done that has benefited any youth in Nigeria today? The student loans, though in African National Congress were not.
I know you had a lot to say, Kayode, but we really need to go. Just a quick one. I know you had a lot today to say. Let's quickly move to Victor. Kayode, please, I'll come back to you, but let's hear from Victor J. Victor, quickly, what's your take on what we saw today as regards the protest, as regards Very Dark Man, in the context of what we're discussing now?
There is need for transparency. The government, the EFCC, the police, or whichever security agency that has his case should communicate with the Nigerian people to let them know the current status, if he had committed a crime, if there is a bench warrant, there will not be need for protests. Because if there's a bench warrant, that means that it's the court that is demanding for his presence. Possibly he kind of evaded coming to the court. Possibly the court now mandated the security agencies. So the government should just come out openly to tell Nigerians the position of things, to avoid incitement, to avoid violence, because it's getting heated up because of the government is not communicating with the Nigerian youth. So that is my take. There is need for transparency and accountability on the side of the government.
All right. Just quickly before we wrap this up, Chinedu, your take?
Well, the arrest of VDM personifies the reality wherein Nigeria has descended into civilian dictatorship. Look at it from all ramifications. There are people who are still in detention, don't forget, as a result of bad governance protest. Some are still having treasonable charges on them. You know what treasonable means? When they find you guilty, it's by death, you understand, for protesting. So it's just an example of what we have descended into, civilian dictatorship. And for us, I think we have to call on the Nigerian people to do the needful, get organized. Unlike Ireti that wants pressure, we are not interested in pressure any longer. We want to get organized and take power. Because when the people take power, they begin to run society in their own interest. As things stands now, what we have seen is that the ruling elite, the capitalist ruling elite, do not care a hoot. They are not interested in Nigeria moving forward. Their children are abroad, they have corp, they travel abroad, they have houses abroad, so they have nothing in common with the Nigerian people, ordinary people, working class, and ordinary poor people. So we that have everything to salvage, which is Nigeria as a country, we need to get organized politically, and kick them all out and begin to reconstruct this country. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I really wish we had more time to discuss this, but we need to, of course, switch to the second half of this program. It's been a privilege. Kayode Baba Yomi is the chairman of the AAC Oyo State chapter, joining virtually from Oyo State. With me in the studio is Comrade Chinedu Bosa. He is the National Publicity Secretary of the Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights. And Victor J, the lead activist, Young Nigerian Rights Organization. It's been a pleasure once again, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be doing some sort of scorecard on the Bauchi State Administration. Stay with us.